welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we are talking about the Washington Commanders hosting Tre Harris on a visit. Tre Harris is a wide receiver that played for Ole Miss, and so we're going to be talking about if this would be a good fit for the Washington Commanders if they were to decide to go ahead and draft him. And so before we go ahead and jump into the content, I first wanted to remind you to hit that subscribe button, just like Jaden Daniels is going to be hitting many wide receivers for many touchdowns this upcoming season. And so in exchange for hitting that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but Washington Commanders content daily. So make sure that you hit that subscribe, you hit the like, you join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football here daily. And so let's go ahead and jump into the content for today. And so this comes from NFL Insider. He's on the NFL Network, Ian Rappaport, and he says that wide receiver Tre Harris has visited the Washington Commanders today. And so what this means is that, look, all teams have a 30 visit. And with these visits, this is a chance for teams to go ahead and really evaluate these players a little bit more. Maybe you're looking at the medical record. You want to gather some more information. Doesn't necessarily mean that a team is going to draft this player. It just means that you have some interest and you want to, take a look a little bit more. Maybe this is a situation where you have the visit and you say, okay, this confirms we don't want to go with this player. Or it could mean, hey, this means that this is absolutely the direction that we want to go. I guess we'll find that out when the NFL draft, starts here. And so let's go ahead and jump into, this prospect in Tre Harris and talking about just why he might be a great fit. And so first of all, at the wide receiver position, I think that you're going to see a player that I think could translate and really be a day one starter in the National Football League. And so I think the first thing that Tre Harris does very well is he does a great job as far as creating space. I think that he has terrific size as a wide receiver at 6'3", 210. And I think he has the ability to kind of get in positions to like maybe box out the defenders and kind of shield them that way. So I think he does a great job as far as creating space. He will definitely be a player that will find ways to be open in a zone. He's going to find ways to get to that first down marker and give you a target to throw to. And so I think he does a great job there. So I think that that's point number one. And when you're talking about Jaden Daniels and the way that he can throw the football and the accuracy, you get a wide receiver that can step into the National Football League in day one and do that. I think he's going to have a lot of success in this offense. And then next up, I think the next thing that he does well, just looking at his highlights, his tapes and things like that, is he does a great job as far as just taking the football at the high point. I think that that's the next thing he does. He shows that he has some terrific hands. I thought that there were times where he attacked the football at the high point. I think he does a great job too as far as tracking the football. And like I said, if you throw a decent ball in that area, he is the type of guy that can go out there and get it. So Tre Harris, I think he has a great pair of hands, and I think he has the ability to really track the football. And next, I think another thing that he does is just the body control. And so when you're talking about like throwing into maybe like some 50-50 type of windows, I think that he does a terrific job as far as going up and getting himself in position to make the plays and to also get in bounds. That is the other part of going up for these 50-50 balls. It doesn't help us if you get a wide receiver that can go up and make these spectacular plays, but he can't stay in bounds. I think that, look, he shows that he has that type of body control, which really suggests that at that size and with the body control, I think that he could really be a good red zone target, and that is perfect for us because I think that when you're talking about being a red zone target, that's huge when you just need to just go up top, just let him win over top of a cornerback. As a quarterback, you gain more confidence in that. And I think also, too, as far as the route tree, we know that Jaden Daniels is terrific with throwing the deep ball. So you could imagine Tre Harris there on Sundays going up for some of these deep balls. I think he could definitely win there. And so next up, I think another thing with him, too, is just the way that he got better, I think, each year that he was in college. And so he started off at Louisiana Tech, and he started off with just one reception for 20 yards, but every year he got better. The next year, 40 catches, 572 yards, and he had 4 touchdowns there. The next year after that, 65 yards, 935 yards. So 65 catches, 935 yards on a 14.4 average and 10 touchdowns. But he went to Ole Miss his last 2 seasons. And so in his first year of SEC play, 54 receptions, 985 yards, an 18.2 average, and 8 touchdowns. That is terrific production to go ahead and step into the SEC like this and just be a contributor like that with Ole Miss. The next year in 2024, we talked about this before with prospects that kind of maybe taper off in the next year. He actually had an even better year this last year with 60 receptions, over 1,000 yards. He had a 17.2 average, so not the biggest average, but he also came back with 7 touchdowns, and 70 was his longest reception. And so, again, the production went up each time. Got a chance to look at his NFL draft buzz profile, and they were talking about that, look, he is a guy that is a clutch performer. So, in the biggest stages, this guy definitely showed up. He had 6 100-yard games as well, so he has the ability to go and get you a 100-yard game. So that's great to see. And then, just talking about, again, just the way that he was able to step up. I guess he had 134 yards in the Peach Bowl victory that they had, I guess, against Penn State. So just letting you know how he can be a clutch performer. And so you love that. I think that was huge with the Washington Commanders, just being able to step up in the big moments. We talked about that in yesterday's video. So that really fits into what it means to be a Commander when you're talking about just the character and being competitive like that. And so he definitely fits the bill there. As far as his 40 is concerned, 4.5 is in the 40. 38.5 as far as his vertical, so 38.5 there. He had a 10.5 broad jump. And so not the most elite speed, but I think when you look at the highlights and you see what he can do, he has the ability to win to where he can actually get you an opening, to where you can throw the football in a good opening. I think that if he wants to get some more separation, probably he's going to have to just get more technical, I think, in sound and in running his routes and just kind of being a bit more deceptive, which I think he can open up and get you some more separation that way. But, just like I said, day one, I think he's going to be a guy that could be a starter here. I think one of the things that they talk about in the NFL draft buzz as far as the weaknesses were concerned was just the play speed, that he's just not that fast like that. Then also, too, kind of gets knocked off balance a little bit. And then just talking about the fact, one of the strengths that I wanted to add in there as well is that he will get out there and block as well. He's a very physical guy, and so you love that. And then lastly, just with another weakness is just talking about his route tree. He needs to get a bit more rounded into that as well. And so all prospects coming out are going to have some weakness, but I think that this guy is definitely a day one starter. Certainly, I think he would be a solid X receiver for the Washington Commanders. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking about Tre Harris. Do you think that the Washington Commanders should go out and take him? What do you think about the fact that he did go on an official 30 visit with the Washington Commanders? Do you guys think it's much of anything? Do you think it's much of nothing? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about this. And so, as we always say, go Commanders, and I will see you guys in the next one. All right, peace.